And here we go. Good evening. What am I wearing? Oh, it's a t-shirt. Well, it's starting to warm up a bit here, and I have not quite warm enough to have the air conditioner all day, so that's where I'm at. I am using an old keyboard at the moment. This little old thing. Not very comfortable since I'm used to the G710, but the G710 somehow has had tea spilled in it. I don't know how it could have possibly happened, but, well, these things happen. Completely inevitable, I think. Good. Looks like the chat is working, so that is good to see. Right. Well, I've been outside. This is not related to the stream. While I'm saying this, why don't I get some stuff open? Okay. Yes. Let's get one of those next to my face. Yes, I've been outside putting a new latch on a gate because we had someone replace the gate and they put a tiny little slide bolt on there, which comes open if you just push on the gate a little bit. Or, even better, if the wind blows on the gate, it can actually make it bend. So the slide latch got bent. Slide latch, is that the right word? It's a little bolt that you push across. Anyway, I'm putting a proper one that is actually lockable and won't be able to blow open in the wind, and so on. Why is this taking so long to load? Yeah, there we go. Because I hadn't asked yet why it was taking so long to load. Yeah, so this is where we're at. I'm going to pretty much jump straight into this. So I'm basically getting the robots' routines turned into a node graph instead of just a linear set of routines. Visually, I've got it all working, being able to plug things in, move them around, and so on. And last time I was working on having that actually update a serializable representation of the routine, something that could actually be saved and set in a robot so that it can follow that routine. So yeah, it's getting tantalizingly close, but I suspect still a little bit further away than I would like. Who knows? I don't think we'll quite get there this stream, but we'll definitely make some progress. So why don't I jump over to it? 1 second, actually. Let's have a look. Just make sure I'm up to speed with where I was up to last time. Output connector, generate message for parent to hear, set correct output instead of always output 1. Yes. That was something. I've got outputs being updated, but it's only output 1, so it needs to be the correct output, which means that I need something that will allow me to set the output number on the outputs so that they can get that, or they could use their sibling index, but I think that's a bit too flaky. All right, so I will now get on with that. So yes, I had Unity closed. I've opened it back up, and I'm dealing with yes, my routine graph. Now, so looking at this picture here, so this is an output, and that's an input. This has one output just there, but this thing has two outputs. And this has 3 outputs, even though you can't see all of them. If I just select, that whole threshold node and move it, there we go. And that has the connections drawn onto here at runtime. So that's what we're dealing with. Maximum of 3 outputs. And did I not just double click on that? Let's just give Visual Studio a moment to open. And I'm going to grab the magnifier. I kind of feel like I should set up a new scene that lets me get a bit better visibility of these things without having to do the magnifier, because the magnifier seems to kind of tank performance, which if I get a new rig at some point, it won't be an issue. As long as I can avoid putting Windows 11 on it. I managed to avoid Windows 11 on my personal computers so far, not so much for work computers. And it has been somewhat disappointing. Yeah. Right, so we got these output connectors, and basically what I want is, if I just grab the threshold node prefab, so grab the node prefabs, threshold node, we've got the above connector, the threshold connector, and the below connector, so that connects when hit points are above this, whatever threshold is set, when they're at the threshold, I'll select that, yeah. So there we go, when they're above the threshold, when they're at the threshold, and when they're below the threshold. That's what we'll get. So, given that, I usually have my T in the middle, which is sort of how I managed to flick it on top of my keyboard, but now I've got my other keyboard. Oh, let me just throw that keyboard over there. I failed. I didn't manage to knock over another cup of tea. Well, anyway, where even is this? It's way off over there. Anyway, let's see. Yes, we've got these 3 connectors, but there's nothing in this output connector that sort of indicates which connector number it is for this type of component. So that's what I'll add here. It's possibly slightly more elegant to have it use the sibling index and then just make sure they're in the right order, but just going for sort of a simple as in dumb, make it work, not simple as in so elegant that you don't need to do anything, because I really have quite a limited number of nodes here, so it's not really worth making it more tricky than it needs to be. This desk is getting really crowded. I really need to move that laptop over there so I've got more space for my mouse and so on. Anyway, 1, 2, or 3. In this node. There we go. Excuse me. Okay. So now when that does that, when that finishes building here, I can just set those numbers and go through the other nodes and set them as well. So here we go. So that is number 1. Set that one to 2. And we'll set this one to 3. And that is it for that one. Let's take a look at an action node. It's just got a single output connector, number 1. Decision node has 2. So I've got connector number 1 and number 2. go to, has no output connectors. Label has 1, so that should just be 1. These will all be 1 because that's the default. Okay, start node has also just 1. And the threshold node is the one we just came from. So we should see 1, 2, and 3 in that connector number. So that part is done. So they're all set to the right number. And now I need to grab this connector number and use that somewhere. So on end drag, okay, so this is when we release, it will call some code in the target that it's dropped on, and that will set it to plugged in if it's plugged into something. And if it hasn't been plugged into something, then we basically just want to parent it back to the same thing and snap it back into its original position here, or here, or here, relative to its node. And we set it back to raycast target so that it will be clickable again. Okay, so this is not the place that's done, but basically we'll need to go to the input drop target because that's where it gets dropped on. Don't know why I've got a breakpoint there. Why is the breakpoint not clearable? Oh, I think I might have disabled all breakpoints before the last thing I did. Anyway, am I in the right place here? This is on drop. We try and get an output connector. And if we didn't, then we'll just have a guard there that will end this function. And then we do some stuff. Do some stuff to check that we're not dropping like this onto there on the same node, because that's not valid. And then, for some reason, output connector is called icon. The output connector is called icon here. So I think that was because it used to be a draggable icon. So let me just rename that to dropped connector. That'll do. So we're setting it to plugged in true. We're setting it to be parented to the plug that it's plugged into. And making sure that it's in the same position with no offset at this point. But I'll probably fix that up so that when there are multiple things plugged in, they're not in exactly the same place. Okay, and that's setting it in the routine. But so we've got the ID of this node and the ID of the node that it was plugged into. This is assuming we're plugging that into something on another node. Don't know why that is like that. And this could just be that. But it looks like I was in the middle of this. There we go. So I think I need to just go here. public so I can read it. Oh, what's happening there? Plasma Pebbles. Thanks for the follow. Plasma Pebbles, interesting. Plasma is not a solid. Pebbles usually are solid, so raises an interesting question. Are they pebbles that make plasma? Or are they pebbles made from plasma? Oh, actually, there's the other kind of plasma. So there's the state of matter plasma with dissociated charged particles and so on. But there's also blood plasma, just the bit of your blood that's not the blood cells. You could presumably dry that out and form it into some kind of pebble. But I think I like the idea of like a pebble that's sort of has plasma coming off it. Some kind of alien technology pebble. All right, so what am I doing here? Basically, just going to make a little switch statement for the connector, dot connector number, and then we got like 1, 2, and 3. And it should never be anything else. Just make sure we've got our breaks in there. Now this we're going to need to put here. I wonder if there's a slightly more effective way to do this without using reflection. That is kind of an error state, means I've programmed it wrong if I've set a number other than 1, 2, or 3 in there. That's caps lock. That's what I get for using my old keyboard while my new one is being cleaned. And I say being cleaned, I could have cleaned it this morning before I started coding some other stuff. But felt urgent to code the other stuff, so I coded the other stuff. 1 to 3 was that. Just make that a template string and break that. Okay. So there we go. So now we are setting the correct output. And so that is getting our routine node, which is the underlying representation that we'll use to store this, pass it to robots and so on. That's getting it updated with the correct connection. And we're propagating those changes. Which, what does that do? Pretty sure that just makes sure that everything is all saved. Yeah, so we just make sure that's saved into the current whatever routine is currently in the routine graph manager, which at the moment is just like hard coded. Could not. Let's change that to could not. Not that it matters. We know what we mean. Now, actually, let's give me 1 second. I'm wearing far too many socks. Yes, I had to go to the hardware store and buy a new latch. So I wore socks so that my shoes would not get smelly. And I wore shoes so that I wouldn't drop it like a new latch or drill bit or something on my toes. So far it's about half installed. So I've succeeded in removing the old latch and making a hole in the fence. But it is a fancy hole. So that was kind of the main bit. All right, can we remove these breakpoints? There we go. That one's removing. Let me run this. I'm not sure what I've got to visualize this, so I don't have a way to create new nodes from the UI yet. So I'm pretty much just working with what I've got. So I've got my start node here, and let's go with this threshold node. Plug the start into that. Are we logging stuff here? We got a drag complete message. Yeah, I've got a few things going on there. We can put that there. Got threshold node, above connector, into label node. Yeah, it's just logging out some stuff about the connection from input drop target. Which is just here, the name of the output node and so on. Can't really tell if it's working properly at the moment in any proper way. What does that say? I need this to be bigger. It says walk forward. That's supposed to be an action name, but this has somehow got walk forward on it. Interesting. That's probably coming from something in here where we had a start node, decision node. Case 4. Okay, anything above 4 should be an action node. So that's at 4. We've got a threshold decision with hit points. And we got 5. So where's walk forward? We've got shoot laser, turn left, turn right, block, walk forward. That's the default. Okay, so we're hitting something that is not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's weird, because it should be set to action free prefab if it wasn't something else. I don't want to get too hung up on that because this isn't permanent code. But yeah, we should be making action nodes by virtue of that. Maybe I'll just do this. even though it should just be setting the value to the same again, because this is the same I. Anyway, that's interesting that we're ending up with that. Yeah, I want to get some visibility into that routine. So we've got this update node function here, or method rather, and so we should be calling update node on the selected routine. So I think probably just here. But even just that is useful on its own. So I'll just attach that though, because I'm going to do some debugging just to see that that routine is kind of updating correctly. And I would say I have set that correct output. So I think adding nodes will be the next thing. All right, are we properly attached to Unity yet? Target machine actively refused it. Oh, that's weird. Does this have to be running or something? Better Google that one. All right. Yes, good old stuff. What are we looking at here? Visual Studio. Attached to Unity. No connection could be made. It was that could again instead of could. Delete all Visual Studio related files from the project folder. Okay. Apparently not very complicated to fix, but still annoying. I'm not going to reopen with Unity Hub. That's too slow. That's fine. I'll need to be out of play mode here. Let's make sure everything's saved here. And just clear that. All right, so if I move this, that should update the routine. Update selected routine. Oh, I should maybe make a button to remove all these and then recreate them based on the saved routine. That would be a good thing to do, because I'd need to do that anyway. Need to support doing that anyway. Okay, so that has joined that onto there and so on. Yeah, I might actually do that next, because that would be a really good way to prove that it is working with all the positions and everything. So I think I'll need a button for my routine graph manager. So here's my routine graph manager. Yeah, basically, I think I need a function here actually, and I can just wire that up to a button. I do this, like I'll call it debug, save routine, and then that'll save the routine somewhere, and then I'll make another one that will load the saved routine. So I can basically have a node routine called saved, I'll call it debug saved routine. Just keep the word debug on all of these things so that I'm aware. And then this one will just be debug saved routine is equal to selected routine. I think that's fine because I think anytime I update it, will it make a new one? I don't think so. So what have we got here? So we just collapse the things that aren't the node routine. So it's just this routine node. All right, so in order to save, what I want to do is save a copy because I don't want to keep editing it. And then when I load it up, it's just literally the same thing that was previously being edited. That'll be especially important when I'm spawning a robot. It will need a copy of the routine, but that copy will be read-only, and I don't want changes in the factory to lead to changes in the robot. So I think I'll make a copy method of some sort. So let me see what we've got. I've got the next ID in there. That would be fine to keep. We've got our list of routine nodes. All right, and then what else have we got here? Just helpers to do stuff, get stuff, update stuff. Cool, yeah. So basically, I think clone or do I want to make a clone, or do I want to make a constructor that takes a argument? I think I'll do clone. Make a copy of this routine that will not update when this routine updates. Okay, and I think because all the nodes in this list are structs, I think because of that, there's no reason to do that. Actually, I will need a constructor because I need to set some things, some private things. Oh, wait. Maybe I can anyway. I'll at least need a constructor that doesn't do this stuff. So we'll call it a template. There we go. So I'll make a constructor that takes in another routine as the template. And we'll set its next ID to the template's next ID. We'll set its nodes equal to do we have like a clone? Interesting, that gives us an object thing. Well, what if we do that? No. That's weird. So I think it's because this is extension methods. 1 second. Let's have a look. So that's an extension method. Yeah. So give it a fallback cloner and try preserve instances. Interesting. I don't know what all of that stuff is. Copy to index, array index, count, etc. I'm pretty sure I can do something like make a new list and give it the old one. And so that should give me a copy of each node, which is a struct, so that means it passes by value, if I'm understanding correctly. Now to clone it, pretty much just return there. So just give it this one as the template, and that should give us a clone of it. And we're basically not making that start node because presumably we've already got nodes in here from whenever that was created. Okay, so now we've got a way to clone that, and I'll use that here, but that'll also be useful for spawning a robot with its own copy of the routine. Okay, so select a routine clone. And then to load a routine, we'll pretty much just say selected routine is equal to debug saved routine. No need to clone this time, I think. Actually, I will clone it. That way I can kind of load it, mess around with it, and then load it again. And it won't have been fiddled with. Basically, this one wouldn't have been fiddled with directly. It would have been the clone here that would have been fiddled with. Is there anything else left to do? I have a feeling I maybe need to redraw. Yes, I think I need to like clear the current nodes and generate the nodes. So I don't think I have a specific thing that does that right now. I think I've got this big monstrosity of a start method that creates the routine, since it's just so that there's a routine to work with, and grabs that start node, does some stuff, but then this is pretty much what we've got here. I'll do something like this. Well, clear nodes is easy. There we go. And you just go to do clear the nodes. There. And then we'll just want to like draw all nodes. Let me draw a routine. Yep. So that is going to based on this one here, selected routine. Okay, and then I just need to go like this. Then I can use it here. And done, except for a few little details about actually implementing it there. Okay. So what I've got here, so I've got my routine, I've got all these vectors and nodes. There, but I pretty much just want to look at this routine graph. It's got all these nodes under here. And I think that that is container, routine graph, rect transform. Yeah, so that's called container. And that's it right there. So basically to clear, I should be able to I think I can get the children as an array. There's not like a clear, convenient clear method. But all these are routine node UI, aren't they? Threshold node has threshold node UI, which inherits from routine node UI. So I'm not sure if that'll get every single thing. So that should give us, yep, one of those. Oops. Just debug log. Grab the Right, what have we got here? What type is this? I'll get component, get components. That's what I want. So now we're dealing with an array. Good. So we've got that length. So that's how many nodes are found. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we should have 6 if that finds all of them. So I might just actually call that up here somewhere. And just before it gets into doing that stuff, I'll just call it and then I'll run that and just confirm that we've got all of the all of those nodes. Man, this is it's getting close, but it's so tedious. Just it's one of those things where doing this as a day job would be much better, because instead of taking like 2 weeks to do something, I could do it in a day. So it would get all nice and finished on time, or before it drags on for too long. Right, so what I'm looking for here is found 6. And was that how many I said there should be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, good. Sounds like we've got all of them. And the next thing to do is actually clear them. So I'm getting them first before I clear them, because otherwise you get sort of potentially weird things happening when you're trying to modify this set of children at the same time as reading that set of children, the array of children. So child game object dot destroy. What are we calling? Destroy that. Please excuse my looking at the keyboard. This keyboard, I used it for years, and then I kind of realized how bad it is compared to my mechanical keyboard. It was all right for its time, but it's pretty old. But it's also got all the keys crammed really close together, so yeah, it makes it a bit easy to hit the wrong keys sometimes. Yeah, so we just iterate through that, destroy all of those, and that should mean that we just don't have these set of nodes. We'll just have the generated set, because we're calling clear nodes. Draw routine is the interesting bit. That'll be somewhat like what I've got above in start, but a lot more refined. Okay, so yeah, we don't have those up there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 things. And that should probably correlate with in here these positions. So, yep, length 9, 0 through 8. Exactly. Cool. Okay, so draw routine. Now to implement that, I'm basically going to grab some of this stuff in start. So we're not creating the routine or doing anything with the start node. What are we using direct nodes for? Setting it here. I don't think I'm really doing anything with that anymore. And nodes. Am I doing anything with that? I guess this is a place I could possibly be, but I'm not. So I might even just comment that out just to see that nothing goes wrong. Okay. So we're setting that to the get component from there. Pretty sure we're not using any of this. I think that those were there from when I was manually making connections between them. So that's fine. Okay, so now I'll do what I said I was going to do. I don't know if I said I was going to. So this is iterating through the positions, but instead we want to go through the array. So we will choose a prefab here. But it's going to be based on something else. So what we need to do is basically iterate the nodes in the routine. And what we're doing with each of those is choosing a prefab, instantiate, Laravel connections, and I think that's basically going to be the second pass because initially we want to put all of the nodes there. And then we'll actually have something to wire the connections to. There. So that's basically drawing all those connections that don't yet exist. But I guess I can get that first bit working first. And now I'm just going to choose the prefab in a method here. I'll update that in a moment to pass in the correct thing. First of all, let's iterate those nodes. So selected routine. Oh, do I have a way to get all of the nodes? I don't think so. So node routine. We've got the nodes in there, but we can't get at them yet. So you can get a node if you know its ID. And you can update a node. Yeah, I think I'll just get them as an array. Get nodes array. That'll do for now. Nodes to array. Yep. Okay, so now I've got a way to get those. Get that nodes array. All nodes equals that. For each node in all nodes, I'll probably inline that at some point, but not this point right now. Okay, so we're going to choose a prefab. For that node. But do we actually need the whole node? Probably just the node type. Okay, so now I'll just update that to add the parameter. Okay, so now we can put node type here. Node type dot. What have we got? Start. Went past it. There we go. Start. And we don't want prefab equals really. We just want to return that. So we don't need that break there either. I'll just remove those. Remove these. All right. So what's this one? This is decision. Simple decision. Return those things. Yes, return, return, return. Okay, this one is label. That one will be go to. This will be threshold. So threshold decision. And in this case, we really should have the right thing. Oops. Not all code paths return something. I did want to rename that. Okay. And yeah, not a code paths return value. I think I'll just debug log error. I basically got an unknown. Node type, which is just going to be that node type that was passed in. That wasn't as expected. And then we'll just fall back on action node prefab if we didn't get one. Cool. Okay, so now we've chosen our prefab. We've got prefab here. What? Oops. That's the problem there. Yeah, we're going to instantiate it. That looks like instantiating it. And our position, I believe we're going to want our node dot position, and it's going to be in the container. I think that's the first step. And then do I do something to make sure that after instantiating, they're updated with the correct thing? Let's find out. Okay, so this is the switch just for my iterations creating all of these things. And that's setting the position, updating the node, setting this unique ID. That's, what do I use that for? It's basically the unique ID that is returned when you create the node. And then we actually use that to get the node that was just created. Okay, so we're getting that and setting the routine node in it. Okay, that looks like the relevant thing. Just here. So we've created the UI and then we're just setting the routine node in there so that it can do what it needs to. And that is so that it has the right unique ID and everything to do stuff. And this routine node should be a property that will trigger everything to be updated. Yeah, refresh display when we set that. So that's good. So that's creating the nodes themselves. And that. Okay, I've got. Oh. So no connections will be saved there. Oh, what do we got? Oh, 2 cheap viewers things at once from different people. Amazing. Paul Atreides. Who would use such fantastic... Oh, it's 2 S's up there. Oh, I see. Are these just like taking real good usernames and then just like doubling the last letter or tacking a number on the end? Interesting. Anyway, this looks like a good thing to press here. There we go. It's not ethical to create robots just to make them watch a live stream. Not ethical at all. Robots should get to choose what they watch. Actually, the ethics gets a little fuzzy if you create them specifically to really enjoy a particular live stream. then like, yes, they exist for a commercial purpose, but if they're getting enjoyment out of it, then is that bad? I mean, probably yes, just from a like capitalistic churn perspective. But anyway, where are we? This is draw routine. So this is yeah, we've got that far drawing the routine. That should be enough now to be able to do the save and load routine. So I just need a few buttons. So we've got a panel here. We've got a close button on there. Let's make a few new buttons. So let's do a text mesh pro button here. And this could be the save routine button. And we'll make that say save. I'm going to say debug. Don't need a new line there. Cool. Just make the actual button itself bigger. And then make this line up with that. Okay. I might just do some smaller text on there. That should be big enough for me to see it. Let's do 16. It's a nice round number. And where's my color on here? Vertex color. I think it will show up a bit better as just black. All right. So there's one of my debug buttons. I'll just anchor it at the bottom here. Just anchor it to the bottom right. And I'll put it just there. And finally, just give it something to do. And that's going to be routine graph editor. Routine graph manager debug save routine. There we go. I'm going to duplicate that button and we'll make a debug load routine button. Change the text in there to the load instead of save. Oh, load doesn't have an E on the end. That'd be load. And I don't know what that would be. And we'll just move it down to say here. And change the selected thing to debug load routine. Okay, so we should be able to save and load the routine. And it just won't get the canvas right. All right, so basically, wait, did I say connections? So I won't do the connections. So if I move these things around, I'll organize them into colors. We've got yellow, we've got green, and we've got blue. So the positions are something that should be saved. Has something just wigged out? Oh, there we go. Something was stopping me grabbing that shoot laser. So that's interesting. Anyway, let's save that. And now just sort of mess some things up a bit. And load. And that seems to have done something. Interestingly, the lines for a couple of these, I think those two lines are for these two. They're in the wrong place, and those might be the lines for those. it's not redrawing those lines when I move any of this around. Oh, okay. That's because those are actually the old connections. So I think I've cleared the nodes, but not the connections. So, yeah, clear the connections as well. But we haven't gone and drawn the new connections. Oh, actually, no. It's subtle, but you might be able to see that there is a connection line drawn. For this, it's just behind the behind this panel. So it might have something going on with the line positions for those connections as well. I'll have to look into that. So let me check the routine graph here. I've got action nodes. And I'll just go over to the scene view here so I can see what I'm selecting. So, for example, here, got this action node, got the output connector there. Just check the positioning here. Z position is 4. The output connector Z position 0. Input target Z position 0. Text is 0, so this is at 4, so that's 4 units into the screen for that action node. Interesting. I'm going to stop this and restart it and just see where the other nodes are. Okay, so we got this start node here, looking at its Z position, negative 0.01. And decision node and so on, negative 0.01. All right, so interesting. Output connector is at 0. And this panel, it's at negative 1. So, yeah, that clearly seems to be putting them in a different position after the initial rendering of those. So let's have a look. How are we positioning these exactly here? So we're instantiating the prefab. I'm pretty sure I copied this directly. Exit pos is container.position plus position in positions. So those positions are these. So I've given them a Z index of negative 0.01. So I think what I want to do is actually just replicate that here. So when we draw the routine and we instantiate, we don't want node.position. Wait, is that the vector 2? So we'll set a vector 3 to that. Negative 0.01. And then use that here. There, so that should put them at negative 0.01. And also we had that that issue with clearing those. We need to clear all the connections as well. Which I think we can probably just do something with connection manager. So what have we got? Let's clean connections. I could manually do remove connection, but clean connections looks like it would be a good thing to use. So let's take a look. Instance.connections.remove all. If the connection is equal to null, okay, clean any null entries. Okay, so it's just getting all the connections in this copy, going through, checking is valid. And if they're not is valid, then it's destroying them. That looks like it would do the trick. It's basically if those rect transforms are destroyed, then that's a problem. Yeah, so clean connections, thinking that like might have to do that. If the connections hang around, then this might just need to happen a little bit later than destroying those things. Okay, so let's see if we get the connections clearing and the new connections drawing in front of the panel. All looks like errors from the node graph library, which I eventually could try to fix. All right. Yeah. I'll do green on the corners, yellow like that, and save that. Now I'll just change everything up a bit and just see that it does properly do stuff when I load the routine. Okay, so I've got all these connections here, so yeah, I think waiting a bit longer would be advisable. But then I do need to draw the routine. I'll just make a button for that. That's not a very amazing solution, but it will get things going for now. Now I'll just duplicate this. Move it over here somewhere. Oh, geez, that's slow. Move it over here. And I suspect when it's running, all of these destroyed objects are not fully destroyed. I guess I could use destroy immediate. That would probably fix that as well. But whatever. I'll create this and there we go. Create the button and change this to destroy immediate. And then maybe that will help that to work. am I looking for time? Yeah, not too shabby. Yeah, once I can save and load this, including the connections, that's probably as far as I'll get today. But it means then I just need to have a way to create each type of node, which might just be having a palette of each type of node that you can drag one out of or click on to plonk on onto here, or click on to have one follow the mouse until you click or something, something like that. Anyway, looks like we're ready to run. And all right, what have we got? So I'll just put yellow. You need to fix up the drag positions, just the way that see if you click and drag quickly, the cursor ends up not over the top of that, which gets especially confusing when you're dealing with something little. Anyway, let me save that routine, and then I'll just move this over here, and then I'll just load. Okay, that looks like it did clean up the connections, but we have drawn the lines behind there. So how are things positioned here? We've got there's that threshold node that I was messing with. So it is Z position 3.99. Yeah, so that's definitely not gone in the right place. So I've set that Z position to that, but it seems to be what have we got here? We got -2, and that's top level. We got -1. And I can actually get that into like a 3D view to better visualize it. Yeah, there's your problem. All those things are behind there. Yeah, so routine graph editor lives just here, which is at -2, so 2 units away from 0. So I believe that would be 0 there, and going to -2. Now I've got a panel. -1, so I guess that actually is like -1 within that I think so. It's like global position wise, it's -3. And then there's the routine graph, which is again another -1. So that's -4, I think. So yeah, those are relative positions. So like if I were to set this from -1 to 0, that should just bring it in line with the other one. So then when I'm setting those positions, I might have accidentally put it in the right, or closer to the right spot. Because I'm using the container position plus the position. And given that that is the container, then I'm adding the -0.01, so it'll put it just in front of that. Now when I'm saving the position, I'm saving it as this position that was saved here. I think when I instantiate, I can say what I want to do here. So what I want is for that to be the position within the container. Oh, I think I know the fix here. I mean, I'm going to need to be able to move this container around and have it do that. So I think I need to be storing the positions relative to the container. Yeah, so do that, move it just in front of the container. And also I need to just do some kind of fixing. Store it relative to the container. That way, then, if I were to move the container or try to display a node graph somewhere else, then it would work. Okay, so that might fix that issue. Find out. All right, so greens here, put those like that, and I'll plug that into there. And we can plug this into here just to keep it interesting. Flip, 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 flip. I guess that would just keep the robot blocking over and over. All right, so let's save that. I'm just going to change a few things just to prove that it is getting it back to there. There we go. That got it back to there. Connections are not connected yet, but we will sort that out next. So I think that's good enough for the moment. No big hurry to fix those positions. And I think just trying to think we get a routine node UI when it's finished dragging, gets a message from the drag complete message. So that's another place I need to fix. I think if I subtract transform.parent.position, then I think that would actually give me that. And I guess we'll soon find out whether that's the case. And then I just also need to do that. This is sort of temporary up here. But here, that's the position we want to instantiate it at. But the position we want to actually use here should just be the position. which is that position without the container adjustment. So yeah, that should be it. Just update all these guys. Okay, so I think that'll give us the right positioning. And while that builds, I'll just go have a think about how to do the all of those connections. All right, should be built now. Okay, so I'll leave the top row where they are. That will give me the initial position setting. And these others, I'll just move them like so. And let's plug those in there. And that can go over there. Just for fun. So let's save that. And I'll just scrunch everything. Excuse me. Just changing all of these from how they were saved. So when we load, there we go. So definitely something is wrong just here. And I think that's now when I'm drawing here. Yeah, that's the problem. So I think I'll grab that container position Z off there. I'm just going to cut that off there and give that offset, but then say pos is to pos plus container position without the .z. There, so that's doing the same thing as I was at the top there, basically just adding the container position. Alrighty, so oops, this time I will leave these where they were, except move that one out of the way, save that, get some things out of the way now, where they were, and try load that. Yep, that looks like they're back where they were. If we just save and load, let's see, no change. All right, cool. So now getting the connections working, probably just iterate through the nodes again. But it might be useful actually to have all of the instantiated things. So still got all those nodes. All right, so what I want is something that can store these. So an array of those. Node UIs. And the size we want is the size of all nodes. Script that length. And just move that definition up here. So that makes sense. Okay, so now we've got that node UIs. do index. I'll just quickly Google that. C# for each with index. Okay. Okay, someone has asked a question that looks about right. How to get the index of the current iteration of a for each loop. And top answer 1004 votes. This one's marked as correct. Okay, that looks a bit annoying. This is nonsense. Cool. Oh, dot with index. That looks nice. So can we do that? Node, comma, index. In all nodes, dot with index. Does not seem to work. Maybe I'm using C#6. Oh, you need this extension method. Something like blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I guess really I should just do index myself. That was a bit too long to go searching around for stuff. There we go, it's a bit like having a for loop, but without all of the fancy index. But, you know. What do we got? Cheap viewers suggesting to buy viewers? Yes. I have blocked them from the chat, but I think they still show up somewhere. How is the week going? Man, it's been rough. Yeah, not gonna lie. It's been a pretty rough week. I've had a cough, and I got back from camping on Monday, and yeah, pretty much developed a cough. And so I've basically just been being sick and working. No point using leave when I can just sit in front of the computer and write code. So I'm also low on meds. Like, ran out. Should hopefully be getting more tomorrow. The wonders of the treatment for ADHD being taking a tablet at the same time every day and remembering to pick up more. What are we looking at here? We're looking at all nodes. Length. Yep, so now we need to grab node. There we go. But yeah, hopefully I'll get better soon. Just got to make sure I don't stay up too late because that'll make it last a lot longer. I think I've already just fixed that, so I'll just let the behavior of these tell me if it's broken again. Don't need to do that anymore because I've now got my... that should all still work the same. So now we want to iterate them again where I pull the outputs. So basically, I'm going to do exactly the same loop here. Get rid of that. Yeah, same loop. Again for wiring up. Did that just automatically indent that to here? Even though I hadn't done the rest of it yet. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do here is grab the node and then look at each of its outputs. And yeah, if it's greater than 0, then that means that is a node ID. Interesting. What am I going to do here? So I basically need to find the node it is connecting to. And the plug. Onto the socket. So I need to get the input connector of that one that I find. Find the output connector. Find the appropriate output connector. On Node.js I. Find the node is connecting to us. I think that'll mean find the index. Node. Get that index from Node.js. Put that Node UI at that index. Okay. So I could get the node by that, because that should be the unique ID. I think we're dealing with a bit of tired brain here. It's not very complicated, but it's just a little bit messy how everything's connected up. So that gives me the actual node, but doesn't get me the index of that node. So I don't know how useful that is. I'm going to find index. Doesn't look like it. What if I put those into a list? Let's just put that to explicit type. So what if I just make a list of these? Because I think I'll get more stuff on there. Does that work? Then I get a list out of those. So I just want to find an index. Okay, so I've got, I can just do very good to match our start node and so on. Start index, right? Okay, so let's just do predicate. What would that look like? Let's call that routine node. Routine node unique ID is equal to node.output1. Then I might even just get this split out to a variable. Input node ID is node output one. So that's where output one is inputting to. So that's what this is. I don't think I actually need that. I'm just I don't know why. It's an emotional support line of code. Okay, I'll remove it when I don't need it anymore. All right, so that should find the index that we need. So that'll give me the input node index. I'll comment that out because that should not be needed. Okay, so now I can get the input node UI. At the input node index. Okay, so that should give the input node UI. And I need to find the input connector under that. So we need to get a component from its children, and that needs to be a input drop target. That should be what these light switch looking, power socket looking things are. So if I just go to this decision node, and under here we've got the input target, and that is an input drop target. Yes. We'll call that input connector. So that's the first set of things here done. Now I need to find the right output connector on this node. I've got our node, but we also need the output node UI. And that's just going to be I. And we'll use this as an output node again. So we pretty much just need to find an output connector. Well, I guess we'll get all the output connectors and find the one that has the appropriate connector number. So the output connectors is output node UI, get components, and children. Output connector, yes. Okay, so that should give us an array of output connectors. Now we need to find the one of those that has the correct number. And so I think let's call it output number. And that equals 1. And that's just because this is output 1. And I might wrap all this stuff up into a method or something that will allow me to just call it with 1, 2, 3. So that I don't have this whole lot repeated. Okay. Now, I'm just going to do this interesting way. Not the most efficient. Okay, now we've got a list, so now I can just find the right one. So I'll find with a predicate and give it an output connector. We want the one where the output connector dot connection number is equal to that output number. Right there. So that should be our value. Kind of shadowing output connector there. Kind of don't care. Don't think it'll break anything. So now we've actually got our output connector, hopefully. If we haven't, that's a problem, but I'll deal with error handling when I'm not so tired. Okay, so now I've actually got that output connector, and now I basically need to do the same thing that happens. Let me drop this on there. So, pretty much here, when we have got output connector, dropped connector, we're not going to worry too much about the rect transform stuff because that's drawing there. That's is it drawing connections? Oh, no, that's just the check. So we don't need any of that because we're just it should have already been checked when the routine was being made. So there, some of these things are relevant. In fact, our method. So we've got on drop. Make this public so it can be called from elsewhere. But I think we could do something like plug in connector, and that's going to be the output connector. That. Okay, so what we could do here is so don't worry about any of that. I'll just basically pull out this stuff. So I've got a call to that, and I'll just move this stuff there. Just rename that to dropped connector temporarily. So all this stuff I'm copying will make sense. So we've got the output node and the input node. And we're doing something with the connector number. Oops, I've got overtime a bit. That should be okay. So in your routine node, that should already be set. Okay, so that's just been updating that and setting up propagating changes. So yeah, I think it's mainly these things, right? Updating the position, making sure it's parented to the right thing, and making sure it's set to plugged in. That's mainly relevant after drop, but I'll do it here as well. I don't think it's, I think it should be in plugged in state. I'll leave that random commented out stuff. This is, I'm going to do the actual UI stuff to position the connector. And then, yeah, we don't need to do anything with updating the routine. Okay, so now I've got a plugin connector that I can call on the input connector. For my output connector. There we go, and I'll just go rename that now. There we go. All right, so now we should have those plugs being plugged in when they're supposed to. Assuming that everything has worked here and that especially everything that's being instantiated up here is ready by the time we get to here. So not super efficient, I think. Okay. Because I'm like generating lists that I don't necessarily need, just so that I can find an item in there. I'm sure I could just write some iteration that would do that efficiently. But hey, it's not going to be happening all the time, only when a routine is selected. Okay, so now I can actually wire some things up and have some hope of what to do. Let's make an actual routine here. So we start, and we want to detect an enemy. And if there is an enemy, we're going to have different behavior depending on the hit points. So if we don't see an enemy, then have a walk forward here. I don't think so. I'll just leave those out of the way. Anyway, let's say hit points are less than 25. Then we want to block. And if they're greater than or equal to that, we'll shoot the laser. And if we don't see an enemy, we should walk forward, but I'll just say we'll turn left and then right. So just basically do nothing much. Get the label involved. So although this won't do anything because it's not, well, actually I'll make it do something. So you start out by turning right. Okay, and then this is kind of the start of this repeated section. So then we'll go to label A. So that makes this section be a loop. So it'll keep looping through, so then this start and turn right will happen just once at the beginning. Okay, and I'll just try and make this kind of fit a little better. Like so. You can put that there. There we go. So I'll save that routine. And now if I load it, okay, we haven't got everything connected, except we have got, I think we got this connected to itself. Oh, okay, I see what's happened. The problem is this is happening probably before the start is being called on the thing that's drawing these lines. So routine node UI. No, not start. Yeah, so basically, I'm pretty sure. Oh, well, that hasn't gone to there. But yeah, this is like got a plug into itself, which is weird because it's not supposed to have a plug at all. So something's gone wrong. Something's very much gone wrong. This one doesn't have its plug at all. Yeah, I think that might be related to basically putting that there makes that be a child of the input connector. But at the time these lines are drawn, they're drawn assuming that the parent is what they're going to be connecting to. I'm pretty sure. So where does that get? Where does that get done? Got some stuff that updates the text. Is it? No, it's not routine node. Oh, it's an output connector, isn't it? Connect to parent. So this is the problem. It's being called to connect to its parent, but it's treating this as the parent. So it uses transform.parent. So it gets its parents, rect transform, its own rect transform, and then creates that connection. Then it finds the connection. And updates everything to be correct. So yeah, basically that's being called on start. And so that really needs to happen before this other stuff. That's a bit of a conundrum. Fix me. This has to happen after start on output connector. The connections go all wrong. Well, I'm over time, so that might be something to solve next time, even though it's very tempting to get that all working now. I think I've made some decent progress today, a few steps closer at least. Where are we? Here we go. So I didn't get as far as adding nodes to the routine, but I can probably do that even just with the quick set of buttons to, like these debug buttons, to just quickly get it up and running, so that there is some kind of way. I think that's happening. Yeah, so since this is just in progress, I'm drawing a saved routine. Big advantage of that is I'll definitely need it. And just do a little note about where I was up to. Nodes and connections. Connections are connecting to the parent, which is incidentally the socket they are connected to. Yes, I could probably just like start a coroutine. I'll do this on next frame or something. Another option would be, instead of calling connect to parent in start, it's actually doing like all this stuff. So instead of doing all that in start, maybe do it some other time. I'll just quickly try. Just pop that load into awake. Yeah, just give that a little try and see if it makes any difference. I said I wasn't going to fix this, but you should know by now that I always lie about that kind of thing. All right. Okay, I'm going to plug this into here, and this into here, and this into here, and that into there. Let's save that. And I'll plug this into here as well. And let's load that. remember if I plugged that into there. That looks like what I've got. I'll just plug everything into everything. I could just have all three of those in there. And I'll grab that into there as well. And this one in here. I'll leave that one unplugged. Okay, so we'll save that. And then reload. Okay, so some things aren't being connected properly. Seems like mainly these threshold nodes might be having some trouble. So save, load. Wonder if those were ever working properly. Well, they're not. They appear not to be doing the thing that they used to be doing, which was having this just be plugged in there with a line drawn across here or something. But I don't know why those wouldn't be connected. It's not just threshold, it's regular decision as well. So it's anything that's got multiple things. Oh, okay. I think it might be related to having not done this yet. Sockets not register, they plug in. No, it's only the it's only these plugs that count as plugged in, and if they're not plugged in, then they snap back to there. And I did set those to plugged in. In here. So that should work. But I think it's actually because I'm only doing output 1. Well, that would partially explain it. So basically output 1, output number 1. That's all it's doing. So that would explain, that would partially explain that. But if I look at this threshold node here, I should have connector number 1, 2, and 3. So I should expect connector 2 and 3 to be unplugged. But that doesn't explain why connector 1 would be unplugged. What if I just plug in connector number 1 and save that and then load? That seems to work. What if I plug in number 2 at the same time? Now 2 is unplugging. Okay. Well, it seems like maybe that was just a fluke of some kind. Well, I think that's kind of working. The only thing is, I'm going to pull this slot. I'm going to pull this slot out from here. All of that should be able to go into a method and call that what? Something like draw connector Okay. And can I just change that signature? So I've got my output number of that first, the input node ID, that as well. Okay, and then these other things are used somehow, so I'll leave those for now. But I want to clean those up. Okay, so we're using that list to find the index, and this one to get the node UI, and then output node UI is that. So I'll just move that. So I think that's not using I anymore. Is that how I called it down here? Yeah, I think so. Then output node UI. Is that right? Is that actually drawing the connector? It's basically just plugging in the connector. Okay. Now I'll just grab that and inline it. And same with this. Okay, and I'm just going to do the same thing for the other two. That'll get them working. And that'll be 2 and 3. And output 2, output 3. And these need to be output 2, output 3. And this has helpfully just made these invalid as well. So there we go. What's this? No, that's a stupid suggestion. Okay, and I don't think I need to use the block form of this. I wonder if there's a thing for that. Just a quick action. Oh, this is quick enough for now. There we go, a little ugly, but yeah, it's fine. So that hopefully gets them all working. And yeah, I might need to do a bit more to Make sure those connections aren't being drawn too early. Okay, let's go start to label A. We'll do the standard thing, standard routine. There's an enemy and you're low health, then block. Otherwise, shoot the laser. And we'll just go back to label A, even though that makes no difference because plugging these into nothing will make it go back to start. And if there's no enemy, then we'll just turn left and right. And then we'll loop back around to there. Okay, I'll save that. And load. Alright, so now that's unplugged. But those are all plugged in. So interesting, now it's plugged in. I wonder if that's definitely related to the loading not working properly, or if it's more about when they are saving, if they don't have what they need. So I could probably output everything and see. Okay, so I think that sets me up for next time. It's pretty much working now, actually. Except connection drawing, maybe drawing or saving. Maybe a little flaky. Okay. Cool. Plug in output connector. Want the output number. And we've got the input node ID and stuff like that. I might move this down to like here. So I can have more interesting things like output. Let's get that output node UI dot T node dot label ID special value. Just maybe node type. Output number. And I'll just grab like the other one. It's just the name of the game object. Node UI. Name. Yeah. That should tell me everything that's trying to plug into where. Using these node names. So I can see if something's going wrong. Or, yeah, see if it's even trying to connect to things that aren't connecting properly. Right, so I got this into that and there. Save that and load it. I'll click this first so it's easy to see. Load that. Okay, there were 9 things. So that's just plugging in 2 and not plugging in 1. So very interesting. Outputs for that. All right. That should give me the IDs of the other nodes to tell me if the values are set to anything other than 0. The 0 is the start node. So yeah, good, we don't draw those for 0. Okay, so I'll join this onto these. Like before. Plug. Clear that, and let's save and load. All right, so what happened? Okay, so start node. So here we go. So the decision node, we got 0, 8, 0. So that's the issue there, the 0. And try and plug that into there. Save. And load it. Now it's got 780. Oh, interesting. Okay. I think I might have an idea about what's causing this, which it might just be that it is not actually getting the new version. So when I plugged that one in, it might have been using the version of this struct when nothing was plugged in as the basis for what it plugged in there. Another thing is I could, let me save that. And I expect maybe just 3 to be connected. Okay, so I got 2 and 3 connected. That'll be this one, 5, 3. So if I now adjust that and plug that in, save, Now if I load, got that value. Looks like it has got all of those connected. So I think I'll just put that as like a bug. Okay, don't worry about inputs. There we go. Little bug here, which is connections maybe wiped out. Another connection. Let's put a C in there. Another connection is connected. So basically, might be based on old version of struct. Something like that. So that's when we drop this on here. When we have that connector number, we're updating this thing to equal that. Then we're updating the routine node in output node UI to be this one, which is a modified one. So same one as before, whatever the routine node was in there, but with one of the outputs changed. Maybe something like this not working properly. It does seem like it's just reading it from here, making an updated one, and yeah. Oh well, I'll have a look at that when I'm less tired, because I was supposed to be getting up early and finish installing the gate latch, and I'm going to be tired. So thanks for watching. I'll be back again in 2 days, and hopefully I can get this further along. I really wanted to get it to the point where a robot is actually following one of these, because that's when it'll get really interesting. Okay, thanks for watching. I've been David from PetalPixel, and I'm going to go get some sleep. Good night.